Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's It Like with Yorks. As you can see, we are still in Jamaica, and we have with us David Martin. And David was actually back in when I was at university, Northern Caribbean University in Jamaica. He was one of my mentors. He taught me Photoshop and desktop publishing, basically. And David suffered a stroke. When again was it?
24th of February
The 24th of February
this year,
this year, 2022.
Yes.
Yeah, and when I got the news, I was surprised. And also, I think I made a video, and gonna pause right here. Ask Camille to look at the phone and press low power mode. Just press low power mode. Okay, and while I made a video and basically told him, hey bro, I know you're stronger than this. I know you'll pull through, but not but. However, the more I heard of his story, the more intrigued I became, and I'm going to ask David from his point of view to tell me how was life like leading up to the stroke, and then the symptoms of the stroke, like what happened, and take me through your story.
All right. Life was typical of a media person, highly stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I was a workaholic, wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating properly. Comes from not sleeping. There were signs, of course, but I ignored the signs.
Mm-hmm.
I had osteoporosis in my neck caused from prolonged computer use.
Mm.
So one of my disc is actually worn out. So that used to give me like certain symptoms, like felt like my body was shorts, like electric shorts and electric, the lights are flickering.
Yeah.
So sometimes this hand would be like on fire for no reason.
Mm.
This hand would go numb for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came to a head when this leg just
Mhm.
disappeared from under me.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to my wife,
That's the left leg.
the left leg, it just disappeared.
This is before the stroke.
Yes, but I didn't really look at it as because once the doctor told me what it was and they did the X-ray,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to the physiotherapist once and they told me how to. I got the chair
Mm-hmm.
and I did the exercises. Most of those symptoms went away. So
Mm-hmm.
I did not really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just pushed through.
Mm-hmm.
I just pushed through and just continued. I am not a stickler for health. I'm not very active.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't very active. I weighed about 245 pounds.
Mm.
But
Mm-hmm.
my wife would always like encourage me to walk. Interestingly, on the night of the stroke, I was exercising,
Wow.
and then that night, I just remember falling off the bed, and the next thing I knew, I was in the hospital. I remember brief snapshots of going down in my dad's van,
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter holding back my head from banging on the window. But I was just going on. I think if it wasn't for my wife, probably would have been a different outcome because she told me that she stuffed some aspirin in my mouth,
Mm-hmm.
and then woke up in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But when I woke up in the hospital, I could talk, all of that. I just couldn't find my leg, my left leg. And this arm was swollen, the left arm
The
was
left arm.
swollen, right? So while in the hospital, that was a whole heap of shenanigans. I'm gonna have to write a book about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking, giving trouble, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
When they asked
Typical
me
David.
where they used to ask me like, you remember your name? I'm like, David Martin, do you know where you are?
Mhm.
I was like, Senance Bay
That's
Golf and Country Club. I had rehearsed like I was gonna tell them my exact location down to the planet. Like I was gonna tell them like, oh, I am on 13 degrees north,
Mhm.
latitude XYZ,
Mhm.
and Senance Bay,
Mhm.
and all of that.
Mhm.
And then I was gonna say third planet from the sun, edge
Wow.
of the Milky Way, all of that,
Wow.
So, and that was like a mental exercise for me.
Oh. Okay.
But thankfully, I didn't have any memory loss or anything like that. While I was on the bed, I was still, still cognitive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's hearing and don't forget what you're about to say, but hearing your story and looking at thinking about what your wife was a trained nurse but not completely trained nurse, if you understand what I'm saying. My wife was a nurse. There are so many similarities between your story and what I am going through now. Not going to bed regularly. I'm actually 241.
Listen to your wife.
Yes,
Listen to your wife.
Yes, and when she watches this, she's gonna be like, "I told you."
Listen to your wife, and you will not get a stroke.
Yes, I am not very active, and that in an interview that I did before, um, I was mentioning that my wife being the main breadwinner or engineer of stability. I remembered it. Engineer of stability from Chadale Smallwood. Um, and it not being that engineer of stability in your family, it plays with your mind.
Yes, it does.
It plays with your mind. Being a man, you should be the man. You should be the breadwinner
Provider.
and be the provider. And as such, you work yourself to the bone, not
Right.
knowing that you are working yourself into the ground.
Yes, the endless pursuit of substance.
Exactly. And not knowing that your family is the only thing that you really need, right? And God will work out a way. Because for me, we are both in the same field. You are in animation, and I'm in special effects and 3D animation as it relates to like commercials and stuff. And and it can be daunting when you're like, I have all these skills, but the money not coming in. Why is there no money coming in?
People owe you money.
And people owe you money and all of that stuff. And even going towards my father's death, my father was a workaholic. My father had a chicken farm, and but where the nature of a chicken farm in and of itself alone is that it's a dusty environment.
Right.
And where my father's chicken farm was located, it was near where the feed for the chickens were made, and that was the base of it was corn. So when corn is ground and milled, that's
Yeah.
dust again.
Yeah.
So my father grew up having this chronic cough, and the cough continued to be so bad that in his last days it was so violent that even after he ate, he would cough until it would come back up. So basically, you could say that my father also worked himself to his grave, in a way. So looking at your story, introspectively looking at my story now, um, it is a thing whereby we as men tend to feel like we have to work ourselves into the ground in order to provide for our families. And looking at things now, it is for us to arrest that and with the help of God, just because I think also, David, we're not used to asking for help.
Right. Because my father is a workaholic himself.
Mm-hmm.
My father is always hustling or doing something different,
Mm-hmm.
for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up with that example of try, 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 try.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm always be the provider, always try.
Be the provider. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure you take care of your wife and kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing with me too. Same example with my father. Always work to provide for your family. And I'm sure other men as well can relate that if you're not the main provider, it messes not just with your ego but with your mental stability. And as such, looking at David's example and introspectively looking at myself, if I don't curb what I'm doing now, I could end up in literally in David's chair. So yes, curse it. I won't ever say it again. So so tell me what was the treatment like, especially with the people who helped you, whether it be a church from whatever, and how was that set of the treatment like, and how people came around?
What do you mean like treatment?
Meaning like the assistance that like support, whether it be your wife, your church family, what was that like?
Right. So my wife was my primary caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
So she was my rock. She was doing everything that a nurse would have done,
Mm-hmm.
changing my adult diapers,
Mm-hmm.
holding me down psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
she prayed over me. But the church was tremendous. The church, people always say, boy, church this and church that, but the church really rallied behind me because I was also part of the communication team for ASI in North Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the hospital, people would come and say, Sister Judy sent, that is the president, Sister Judy sent me to check on you. Nurses would come and say, you're on our prayer roll. We heard prayer roll for you,
Mm-hmm.
and we are praying for you. People kept telling me that they were praying for me. Got visited by a couple people from Union, pastors from Union,
Mm-hmm.
from the departments,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Fletcher, etc.
Mm-hmm.
People came around,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people couldn't believe that I got a stroke. And even now there are people who have seen my post on Facebook and they say, "What are you recovering from? Did you get in an accident?"
Mm-hmm.
Told them that I had a stroke and they are shocked.
Mm-hmm.
But the church was really good. The church rallied around
Mm-hmm.
East Jamaica conference especially.
Mm-hmm.
They set up donation
Mm-hmm.
so that I could finish my apartment that I was building.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that I was working on the apartment, that was part of the stress too.
Mm-hmm.
Working on this apartment and things were just going wrong in the last part.
That's real estate, like a rental property that you'd rent.
No, it's not really a rental, it's just a home for us because
Okay.
one of the things that my father, well, instilled in me was that, he didn't do it for my mom, but he wanted to make sure that, we had a roof over our heads.
Mm-hmm.
So he said to me, I'm soon going to pass off, so make sure you start your house.
Mm-hmm.
And, they pushed out and we started.
Mm-hmm.
Started off first and then, it got to a place my wife prayed over it, say, hope it will raise out of the ground. But because of bad workmen,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a lot of things were going wrong
Mm-hmm.
and
It got drawn out.
drawn out, and then there were a lot of mistakes we had to correct. So a lot of those things were weighing on my mind,
Mm.
you know.
Mm.
But then, strangely enough, I'm in the hospital. I'm a control freak as well. I feel like I must control everything
Mm-hmm. Mm.
because I was in the hospital, not being able to work. I've not worked since February, since the
Mm-hmm.
hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I've not done any, just a few little creative work just to kickstart back the brain,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I've not worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, God has taken care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
God has truly
Mhm.
taken care of everything. He said, all right, sit on one side and me show you.
Mm-hmm.
You're killing yourself. Let me show you what I can do now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can't do anything. So when you hear the Bible say, rejoice in your afflictions,
Mm-hmm.
I have a personal testimony for that.
Mm-hmm.
I sit down and I thank God that this stroke happened to me
Mm-hmm.
because yes, it's an inconvenience. Can't move this hand properly.
Mm-hmm.
It's not open up the way I want it to. And it was one of my main hand for doing work because, and because it's not working as I want it to, kind of dull the confidence a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you,
Mm-hmm.
God has really pushed through. And I have had such a close walk with him since.
Mm-hmm.
Never had that before in my life.
Mm. And you say about the people who have your connection with God has strengthened. And I also saw the GoFundMe stuff and big up people like Kwame and Leon French who and Raynor who and Jody who pushed out
Right.
sent out the word.
That was something that, until this day,
Mhm.
I did not know that so many people cared. When you hear some stories and like somebody will be saying, "Oh, we go to this place and somebody just take up this thing and give me."
Mhm.
Nobody has ever before officially just say, "Come, David, take this."
Mhm.
So I felt that I have to work for everything that I needed.
Mm.
So I made up my mind that anything what I want in a life, I'm gonna work for it. Nobody is not going to just take up anything and give me.
Mhm.
When I saw that GoFundMe thing go,
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was in the hospital, and they said, pose for the picture, and did a little thumbs up thing.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw all the people that were donating towards it,
Mm-hmm.
it really touched me because I say here, not only were people praying, you can't pray for people unless you love them.
Uh-huh.
People were
You,
praying. I mean, people were praying,
mm-hmm.
people who I never knew personally, people all over the place. I talked to people in St. Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, guess what? We were praying for you. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, have mercy.
Mm-hmm.
So in the hospital, I was like, boy, so many, so many names, so many lips are sending up my name to God.
it it it's funny you say that because um um this man must be tired of me mentioning him, but in doing my recent counseling pertaining to grief, one of the things that I learned is that having a situation and just praying about it and not doing anything about it is like having an open sore and not treating the sore. Easy that it will more than likely it will get worse or it will take longer to heal. So what I like when people pray for you, and when people pray and say they're praying for you, what I even like more is when the action comes behind it,
Right,
because that shows that is active prayer.
right.
Because the Bible even said prayer without works is dead, or faith without works is dead, and even listening to you, and I'm an emotional guy, so even listening to you, tears are coming to my eyes right now. Uh, what I would like to emphasize on is that sometimes you never know who cares for you until you're on your face.
There's that saying that, if you want to know who your friends are, lie down on the roadside.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
some people lie down on the roadside and people they think of their friend come search them pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
trust me, I tell you, this experience has shown me
Mm-hmm.
who cares,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I realize that there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who are rooting for me to get
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people when I post stuff, I don't do it to boast or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you put up stuff and somebody pray for you
Mm-hmm.
and they see that and they say, oh, look, the man is walking already or he's
Mm-hmm.
doing this,
Mm-hmm.
it strengthens their faith. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
testimony.
Before we go any further, we'd like to thank one of our sponsors, the Imagination of Canada. Are you tired of the same old bland corporate videos? Elevate your brand with the help of the Imagination of Canada. We are a top rated video production company specializing in creating dynamic and engaging corporate videos, advertisements, and films based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Our team of talented filmmakers uses the latest equipment and techniques to bring your company's unique story to life. Don't miss out on this opportunity to stand out in a crowded market. Contact the Imagination of Canada today to get started on your dream project. Contact us at startanewproject.com and use your imagination.
I have to be a living testimony.
Exactly. And yesterday, when you posted something, my brother said, ladies and gentlemen, we have punctuations. And this is coming from every word being one word
Yeah,
to getting sentences to now
yeah.
having
You
punctuation.
can thank my wife for that
Working on the spacing, though.
spacing and timing. Oh boy. What used to surprise me was when I used to call people and talk to them on the phone, and they were so shocked. They was like, "Oh, you have stroke the other day. Oh, me can hear it clearly."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't remember ever having slurred speech.
Really?
I don't remember my speech being slurred. I don't remember that. I don't remember when my mouth was all the way over here.
Mm.
She has to be telling me stuff like, I say, oh, you remember this? You remember that when you couldn't feel your leg and all of that?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, yeah, when we're in the thick of it, and especially with stuff affecting the brain, you don't remember when you're in the middle of it. And what I can say, David, is a lot of us care for you. A lot of us, we might not say it, but we do care for you and we do look out for you. I mean, See, I'm here for my father's funeral, and I'm right here beside you. And also, I'm sure that many other people, if because we live in basically the middle of Jamaica, because Brownstown, basically about the middle, in the middle between the hills, and Jamaica on the outskirts has highways, but the middle part it's left turn, right turn, left
Cartoon
turn,
roads.
right turn. And
Cartoon roads.
exactly, cartoon roads. And I've been here for about 14 days, and my shoulders and my arms are hurting me because of the constant left and right of the driving. And
Yeah.
just to show you how hard it can be to reach here. But I'm sure that there's some people who would like to either reach out to you or message you or whatever. Is the GoFundMe still up?
No, it's not up.
No, it's not up.
No,
Okay,
if they
that's fine.
want, they can just WhatsApp me and I
WhatsApp
can
you.
give them some information.
Okay, no problem. And
And if they want to visit, they just give me some advance warning
okay,
because I don't mind visitors. I never
okay.
used to like visitors before, but now,
Mm-hmm. You're welcome to visitors.
yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
every time somebody comes, they encourages you.
Mm-hmm.
People will tell you some stuff, and when you hear their testimony,
Mm-hmm.
I get more hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, um, the interview I had before, the person didn't really have a strong relationship that you have with your or had with your father. Is he still with us?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Okay.
My father is here. He's up.
He didn't leave his side. Wow. But we have some people here in studio telling us what's going on. That's okay. No, that's fine. Actually, welcome that. Yeah, well, his father didn't leave his side, and that's good because I got I was short 1 week of seeing my father before he passed. Yeah, I landed the 2nd of June, and on the Thursday, and the Thursday
Oh
before
yeah,
that,
I saw the thing on
yeah,
your
the Thursday before that, my brother called me, telling me about my father's passing, and I don't want to use the word envy, but there are times when I look and I say, I wish I had a stronger relationship with my father. But I believe that God made it that way so that it could make me stronger and make me be a better father in and of myself. And I say all that to say that fathers out there, even though you might feel as if you must provide or you have to be the main provider for your family, don't work yourself to the bone. Don't work yourself into the ground because it can actually work against you. We have two examples, my father and David, who worked themselves to the bone until it was basically almost for David, but for my father, too late. But what I can ask, because I don't want to make this be a long podcast, is David, is there any last word or anything that you'd like to say to people out there watching this? Because it's not just Jamaica, it is worldwide.
I am not strong. I am not strong.
What do you mean by not strong?
I'm not strong. Just want that to be very clear. I am not a strong person.
Mhm.
People tend to have this belief that, oh, he's determined because when they see some of the videos and they see me, yes, I am determined, but that is inbuilt in me from years of, you know, coming up a certain way. You understand? But I am not strong because trust me, I could tell you some stories. We don't have enough time.
Mhm.
Our tears
Mhm.
for those stories when I just came out of the hospital,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I have reminded them I show you afterwards.
Mhm.
And I tell you, I'm not strong. It is God who is strong. I have to give God the glory. I would go to bed and wake up the next morning being able to do something. I went to bed one night and the next day I got up and I could have walked. Saskia said to me, Daddy, when you start walking, I want to be the first one that you hug. I stood up and I hugged her immediately and I hugged her,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
But my hand was swollen big like this.
Mm.
And I did this to Kay. I think this was the first thing that I did, like twisted my hand.
Twisted your hand.
And when she saw that, she started to cry, and I was like, "Man, I can't make you cry again." So every time me do something with my hand, we went to the cardiologist, the night. She said, you were stretching out your hand because they were trying to get me just to do this. And in the night,
Just to
I just
flex
had
out
a
your hand
dream.
like
I
this.
had a dream, like I just felt
Just-
like the muscles were bubbling up, right, and this, And then next morning I could just do this. Couldn't do that before. It was closed tight like this.
Okay.
Started to go spastic. The physiotherapist came in because I used to do home visit. He came in and the Sunday, it was the Sunday, and he saw me open my hand like this. And he run back for his phone because he had told my wife that the left hand don't normally come back.
Mm.
They told me he wouldn't walk.
Tell me
Yeah,
he wouldn't
typical
walk.
doctor stuff. They told you wouldn't walk, and
My left,
they basically gave up on him.
yeah, man, my left hand is back. You saw me pulling the padlock on the thing. And as a joke, there was this porter by the hospital, very big guy, almost big as Chedil, probably bigger than Chedil.
Chedil is 6'5".
He could just take me up with one hand. And I said to him, say, say, man, I want you to help me escape from the hospital because they tied me to the bed in the hospital.
What?
I jumped off the bed. And I know say the devil. I feel say the devil because there was a voice that came to me in the night and said, throughout my whole ordeal, scripture came coming back to me. And I was just in the bed one night and I said, there were some old men around me because like everybody they get stroke on my ward. And I saw men jumping up, old men jumping up and down and them something there. And one man walk out, gone around, gone find bathroom and them something there. And they tied me to the bed. I try to trick the nurse them if they let me go. I tell them all sort of sitting about, say this is a safety hazard and all of them something. If them let me go. But they wouldn't listen to me. They said, no, you keep falling off the bed. One of the guys told me that, you're a nice young man. I see your father, you're a nice young man. Why you keep jumping off the bed? one night I fell and hit my face on the floor. So that's one particular night, it just come to me. How you know that you can't walk if you don't try? I said, what, I'm going to shot myself into walking. But thankfully, the Lord, when you do some things and you think, say, God, nah, it's like God say, all right, me pull the stupid plug a little bit. And him say, all right, here what you do. Drop your pillow up on the ground first, and then you roll off. So that if anything.
That time, when we got the morning, he was the only one who fell off the bed. Whenever bust up face and bust up mouth and all these things.
Oh.
And he was the least mobile. And him are the old one when I have no in the hallucinate a bit.
Okay.
Man,
But
when I went off that bed, boom, I drop on the floor. Man,
you can tell you some stories.
I drop on the pillow. And I tell you, there's a Rasta man down there in the ward. I've seen people die around me. Young kids come in and die,
Young kids having stroke.
Teenagers, not stroke. Teenagers just die and then mother try to wake them up and so forth. And then I was down there. When I was on the floor, I said, no, me know why the Rasta man keep putting in bed on the floor. I was so cool down there.
Oh.
The next morning, the nurse come in and I scream, say, oh my God, everybody is on the floor. Everybody did drop off of them bed that night there. I mean, I tell you. But I kept a sunny disposition through the whole thing.
As a vein, he had the
Intravenous.
when he fell off the bed, it burst out of him.
Come out of his hand.
I came in his hand, were swollen.
Oh, okay.
And my mind couldn't feel that hand at all, It's like, and it twisted like that. So from here down was swollen and discolored. It was such a scare. And me tell him the time.
I see.
No, they confess.
I see.
Now his wife is confessing that because he kept falling off the bed, they tied him. She asked him to tie him
I'm
down.
very claustrophobic, so waking up tied to the bed, I almost chewed off my hand to escape. I say I did all sorts of things to pull out myself.
But is the belt one them like what they use for?
It was bandage access.
Gauze. Oh, okay.
I may actually tear through the gauze at one point, but man, I was so. One of the time I say I was gonna bribe the porter. Them next time I drop off, I'm gonna bribe the porter.
Not to tie you properly.
Put me in my sister van that was supposed to be outside. I'm gonna just escape. And man made us have this whole hallucination of what would happen, and how would I reach home, and what explanation would I give.
Us and the doctors,
Mhm.
and he was seeing me. Every nurse that came, he was seeing me in them. So he kept saying, "Okay, come here."
Oh, that was a hallucination part of it.
Yeah, keeping up without the mask, and he was quarreling with Saskia to go put on his
Mask. Oh,
I had some lucid dreams, boy.
oh boy.
He was so scared for him, I tell you, man. And at the time, they hadn't treated him for the blood clot as it, because they wasn't sure when it
Blood.
was a blood clot or
Had a blood clot
Oh.
on the brain.
so terrified for him, because he kept getting worse. He had his seizures and he caught the COVID whilst in the hospital and he had the asthma. It was such a scary time.
It was nice too, it was nice too because when they took me to do the CAT scan in the ambulance, I asked the guy to turn on the siren and he turned on the siren and we were running through with siren on. Man, I was so happy. I feel like one like a picnic.
So my question to you is, was the other than the stroke and the COVID and stuff, was there anything else, any other grave medical problem that you had?
No.
The heart.
My heart, I have rheumatic heart disease as a child, but I didn't find that out until I went to visit the neurologist weeks after.
Oh.
It was romantic.
That caused the stroke.
Oh, how?
So my heart is a factory that create blood clots.
Oh. AFib,
Right, and it's because of the rheumatic heart, so the heart starting to get fibers and so on.
So while stress was a part of it, it wasn't the cause of it.
Okay.
Stop moving,
Yeah.
exercise that
But my superpower is
It
quickly
moved
clotting
it.
blood.
Oh, quickly
So-
clotting blood.
So if I get a cut,
Uh-huh.
if you notice I have cuts, then would just heal up and you wouldn't see a trace of them. This is the only one that actually
The one on your
lingered.
little leg.
I would get a scrape and it would just heal up instantly.
Okay, so
skin to the dermatologist and they have super tips.
Yeah. So that superpower went against me. Really,
you're basically like Wolverine.
So I have to be on blood thinners now. So
Uh-huh. So okay, so backing it up a little bit, it wasn't just the working at night and the lifestyle.
yeah, the
even
heart
though
is a problem. So
the heart was a
actually,
bit
this
of
is the
problem.
thing,
The rheumatic heart
when you
disease.
think about all of those things, and I said to myself, imagine all the time I'm running around as a child, I could have just dropped dead. Could have
Literally.
just dropped when God kept me,
Mm-hmm.
So when people say I'm strong, it is God who is strong because
Mm-hmm.
somebody had once said that I shouldn't use God as a crutch, but He is my crutch,
Mm-hmm.
because He's my everything, because if you tell me people can't say they don't believe in God all them want, but I know really that's why I rejoice that this thing has happened to me
Mm-hmm.
because I never had that relationship with Him before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would pray and things would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Never had that relationship. Every time I'd keep putting stuff off and say, boy,
You do that another time.
me do it another time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, me go binge watch that movie first.
Mm-hmm.
Me go binge watch Netflix first because cartoon. Me go watch it because you have to do it in my work or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I say, me need to watch a sermon or we need to have prayer.
Uh-huh.
Never used to do those things before. It's like I put it off for another day. So we put things off for another day, put it off. What God say, what? Be still and know that I am God. Pause. Pause and just sit down on your back. And I sat on my back and I said, God, yes, I'm gonna have a testimony, but you are able to save people. You're able to empower me to save people from my back. I've come to terms with a lot of things because I used to just come home and listen Psalms, and a lot of things that came back to me in the hospital was scriptures. It seems as if when my mind is like in a situation, and this is something else that is, this is something that is not going to admit it here, but when my mind is gone, scriptures would come to me, songs would come to me. It's as if God knows that, let me keep him
Just like a bit
grounded,
longer.
And trust me, the devil has tried his very best. I remember one night I was just in the bed and an idea came to me and I was like, I'm gonna write this down before I forget it. And I got up to go around the computer And as I sat down, instinctively this hand came up.
Mhm.
Just came up to touch the computer because this is what I use on the MacBook.
Mhm.
You know, this hand just came up.
Mhm.
Like I was like, you know,
That's after the
after
stroke.
the stroke, you
Mhm.
know. It was like a couple weeks after, but we were working on this hand in therapy.
Mhm.
And the hand just came up like that, like it was just ready to start working, you know.
Mm.
And I tell you, man, you see those little things that start to give me hope because when you're told that your brain don't normally heal
Mhm.
and you're seeing you
Mm.
get up one day and you start to feel
Mhm.
pain, mosquito bite you, you feel the mosquito pitch by you, water touch you and you feel like it's acid.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, because your wife kind of thinks you're cold water she throw upon you when actually regular water.
Mhm.
All of these things. When you start to feel those things and you realize so your brain is knitting back itself together,
Mhm.
you know?
Forming new pathways.
Yeah, man. The neuroplasticity thing. I mean, I tell you,
It.
God is so awesome because, you know, as usual, I had a plan like for if I couldn't walk and thing, you know, I had these plans in the hospitals.
Mhm.
Like, if I can't walk, I'm going to buy this thing and
Mhm.
I come home and research all of these things and all of that. What I'm going to buy if it help me to walk, assisted walking.
Mhm.
And God just says, sit down and calm yourself.
Mm. We serve a God that has created our body, and the more stuff happen to us, is the more we realize that man doesn't even know half of what the brain and the body can
Trust me,
do.
you serve a risen Savior, man.
And that's how I would like for us to close off, that even though men my doctors might say, oh, you'll never walk again, or you'll never do this again, you'll never do that
What
again.
does God have to say? What does God have to say? That is the final word you need
Yeah,
to know.
yeah. Because even when I was 16, I had kicked after a football and missed, and my right hip, the hip joint is a ball and socket joint, and the covering for the ball joint, the covering for the femur had slipped towards my groin, and I was told that after they put the pin in there, oh, he'll never play sports again, XYZ. There's still a metal titanium rod in my hip right now, and yesterday, after coming at the beach, I was playing football in the sand. And anybody who plays football knows that one of the hardest things is to play football in the sand.
Yeah.
And that is very taxing on the hips, the ankles, everything in the lower body. So men might say, oh, you'll never do this again, you'll never do that again. But once you pray to God and you work on it, because I hate it when people weaponize prayer and say, oh, just pray about it, just pray about it.
Mhm.
Do something
Do
about it.
something about it.
Do something about it.
You see,
And
God has infinite power, you know, and He wants us to have access to that infinite power. Because I sat down in my bed there and I said, God, you know, things come to you, you know, after you saturate yourself with scripture, you know. You say, God, I know that you have this infinite cosmic power that is open to me through prayer. I want to be in that position to access all of that.
Mhm.
You know, I want to access all of that power. You have given me a taste of this power.
Mhm.
I want more. I just want more, God. I just want more. I want to have power. I don't want to be weak. Yes, I may cry.
Mhm.
I cry and I drop tears. And remember the scripture that says, God, save your tears in a bottle.
Mhm.
And I said, God, I want to access. I ask God, you want me to be the pinnacle of creation. That is what I want to be, everything that you want for man.
Mhm.
You understand? So that I can do your work, you know?
Mhm.
I want to do your work. I don't want to be myself anymore. I want to do your work. I want to do things for you.
Mhm.
You understand? I don't want to, you give your life to save me. I cannot pay you back.
Mhm.
1,000 lifetimes me live, me can't pay you back, you know?
Mhm. And
But me like think the only way me can pay you back is to live for you and make people see Christ in me. I
Mhm.
saw a church brother walking on the street and he had such a smile on his face. He looked like he was high.
Mhm.
And that just come back to me one of those encouraging moments. And I say, that is what I want. I want to see that joy there. And
Mhm.
that guy was just walking and smiling, 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 you
Mhm.
know? And the only people remember see walk and smile like that are crazy people. And I was like, I want to have that joy that this man has, you know?
Mhm.
I grudge him in joy. I want to walk and a smile.
Mhm.
And me determine say, as much as this is an inconvenience now, because me fully believe that God is going to restore me.
Mhm.
And He's going to make me better than I don't know what He's going to make me, but whatever He has for me is going to be better than I was before, you know?
Mhm.
But I do not want to come out of this experience not learning my lessons, you know? I don't want to come out of this and be the same person afterward, character-wise, you know.
Mhm.
You know, some people go through some stuff and then just, when they say baptize, you go down a dry devil and you come up a wet devil.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I'm going through this trial of faith. I do not want to come up back
The same way.
the same way. I want to be somebody different.
Mhm. And with that being said, guys, what more can I say? This is a man who has had a stroke, and honestly, I've never seen somebody with this much faith. And all I can say, guys, is what's your excuse? I'm Yorkwin Walters from What's It Like with Yorks, and remember, we are not all in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm. Thank you. What's It Like with Yorks is recorded at Imagine Studios with me, Yorkwin. Edited by Yorkwin. Produced by Yorkwin. Music by Trilo XV.